Hello viewers, welcome to our channel Career Prep. In this video, we'll solve a few problems on the topic simple interest where you have to calculate the time. Since questions based on this topic are most frequently asked in competitive exams, it makes sense to understand the concept well. Questions are dealt with in this video along with clear explanations to make you understand the concept clearly. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel. Also press the bell icon to get notifications as soon as we post a new video. So let's start. Finding time. The types of questions asked in competitive exams on this topic are: Type 1 is questions where the principal, simple interest and rate of interest are given. Type 2 is questions where a sum of money multiplies at a certain rate of interest. Type 3 is questions where there is a difference or equality in principal or amount or simple interest or rate of interest. Let's solve a few problems on each of these types. Let's solve a few problems of type 1. Type 1 is questions where the principal, simple interest and rate of interest are given. How much time will it take for a sum of rupees 450 to yield rupees 81 as interest at 4.5% per annum of simple interest? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So it's given that P is equal to rupees 450, simple interest is rupees 81, rate of interest is 4.5% per annum, and we are asked to find the time. Now we can find time using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by 81 divided by 450 multiplied by 4.5. On solving this, we get T is equal to 4, which means time is 4 years. So the correct answer is option B, 4 years. In what time will rupees 72 become rupees 81 at 6 1 by 4% per annum simple interest? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now it's given that P is equal to rupees 72, A is equal to rupees 81, R is equal to 6 1 by 4% per annum, which is nothing but 25 by 4% per annum. And we are asked to find the time. Now time can be found out using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Now we know that P is rupees 72 and rate of interest is 25 by 4% per annum. But we do not know what is the simple interest here. But it is given that amount is rupees 81 and principal is rupees 72. Now we know that simple interest is equal to amount minus principal. So simple interest is equal to rupees 81 minus 72, which is rupees 9. So now we know the values of the simple interest, principal and rate of interest. So let's find out what is the time using these values. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by 9 divided by 72 multiplied by 25 by 4. On solving this, we get T is equal to 2, which means time is equal to 2 years. So the correct answer is option B, 2 years. In what time will the simple interest be 2/5 of the principal at 8% per annum? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now here it's given that the simple interest is 2/5 of the principal, but we do not know what is the principal. So let's assume that the principal is X. Then according to the question, the interest would be 2/5 of the principal, which is 2/5 of X, that is 2X by 5. It's also given that the rate of interest is 8% per annum, and we are asked to find the time. Now time can be found out using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by 2x by 5 divided by x multiplied by 8. On solving this, we get T is equal to 5, which means time is 5 years. So the correct answer is option D, 5 years. In how many years will the simple interest on a sum of money be equal to the principal at the rate of 16.2/3% per annum? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So in the question it's given that the simple interest is equal to the principal, but we do not know what is the principal. So let's assume that the principal is rupees X. Then according to the question, simple interest also will be rupees X. Now it's given that the rate of interest is 16.2/3% per annum, which is nothing but 50/3% per annum. And we are asked to find the time. Now time can be found out using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by X divided by X multiplied by 50/3. On solving this, we get T is equal to 6, which means time is 6 years. So the correct answer is option D, 6 years. If the simple interest for 6 years be equal to 30% of the principal, after how many years will it be equal to the principal? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now it's given that the simple interest for 6 years is equal to 30% of the principal, but we do not know what is the principal here. So let's assume that the principal is X. Then it's given that simple interest is equal to 30% of the principal, which means 30% of X, that is 30x divided by 100 for 6 years. Now we do not know what is the rate of interest. So let's assume that the rate of interest is R%. Now we know that simple interest is equal to PRT divided by 100. Now it's given in the question that simple interest for 6 years is equal to 30% of the principal. This means X multiplied by R multiplied by 6 divided by 100 is equal to 30x by 100. On solving this, we get R is equal to 5, which means the rate of interest is 5% per annum. Now we are asked to find out in how many years will the simple interest be equal to the principal. So let's assume that the interest will be equal to the principal in T years. So time is T years, interest is X and principal is X. We have found out that the rate of interest is 5% per annum. Let's substitute all these values in the formula here. Then we get X is equal to X multiplied by 5 multiplied by T divided by 100. On cross multiplication, we get T is equal to 100x divided by 5x. And on solving this, we get T is equal to 20, which means time is 20 years. So the correct answer is option B, 20 years. Let's solve a few problems of type 2. Type 2 is questions where a sum of money multiplies at a certain rate of interest. In how many years will a sum of money double itself at 12% per annum? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So in the question it's given that the sum of money doubles itself. Now we do not know what is the sum of money. That is, we do not know what is the principal. So let's assume that the principal is rupees X. It's given that the principal becomes double. That is, the amount is rupees 2x. Now, if principal is rupees X, then amount can be rupees 2x only if the simple interest is also X. So simple interest is rupees X. Now it's given that the rate of interest is 12% per annum and we are asked to find the time. Now time can be found out using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Now we know that SI is rupees X, principal is rupees X and rate of interest is 12% per annum. Substituting all these values in the formula here, we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by X divided by X multiplied by 12. On solving this, we get T is equal to 25 by 3 years. Now 25 by 3 is nothing but 8 plus 1 by 3 years. Now 1 by 3 years is 4 months. So time is 8 years and 4 months. So the correct answer is option D, 8 years, 4 months. A certain sum doubles in 7 years at simple interest. In how many years will the same sum under the same interest rate become 4 times? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now let's look at the first case. Here it's given that a certain sum doubles in 7 years at simple interest. Now we do not know what the sum is, that is, we do not know what the principal is. So let's assume that the principal is rupees X. Now it's given that in 7 years the principal doubles, which means the amount is rupees 2x. Now if principal is rupees X, then the amount can be rupees 2x only if the simple interest is also rupees X. So simple interest is rupees X. Now here the rate of interest is not given. So let's first find the rate of interest for case 1 using the formula R is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. Now here we know that the simple interest is X, principal is X and time is 7 years. So substituting these values in the formula here we get R is equal to 100 multiplied by X divided by X multiplied by 7. On solving this we get the rate of interest as 100 divided by 7% per annum. Now let's look at the second case. In the second case, it's given that the same sum becomes 4 times at the same rate of interest. This means the principal is also rupees X for case 2. Now the principal becomes 4 times, that is the amount becomes rupees 4x. Now if principal is rupees X, then the amount can be 4x only if the simple interest is 3x. So principal is X, simple interest is 3x. Now it's given that the rate of interest is the same as in case 1. So we had found out that in case 1 the rate of interest is 100 by 7% per annum. So the rate of interest in case 2 is 100 by 7% per annum. Now we are asked to find the time here, which can be found out using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Here we know that SI is 3x, P is X and R is 100 by 7% per annum. Substituting these values in the formula here we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by 3x divided by x multiplied by 100 by 7. On solving this we get T is equal to 21, which means time is 21 years. So the correct answer is option D, 21. Let's solve a few problems of type 3. Type 3 is questions where the difference or equality in the principal or amount or rate of interest is given. A certain sum of money amounts to rupees 2200 at 5% per annum rate of interest and rupees 2320 at 8% interest in the same period of time. Find the period of time. Here you are given four options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here the difference in the uh, amounts is given in this question. And you're asked to find the period of time. Period of time can be calculated using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. Now it's given in the question that the period of time is the same for both the cases. So you can find the time either for the first case or for the second case. It is the same. So let's consider the first case. Now, as you can see, here it's given that in the first case, the rate of interest is 5% per annum. But we do not know what is the SI or what is the principal. Now, if we find out the SI for the first case, then easily we can find the principal for the principal. Now, using all these three values, we can find the time. So first let's find out the simple interest for the first case. Now it's given that a certain sum of money amounts to rupees 2200 at 5% per annum rate of interest. The same sum of money amounts to rupees 2320 at 8% interest in the same period of time. Now since this is a case of simple interest, it means that the principal is the same for both the cases. So the difference in the amount has to be because of the difference in the interest. Now the interest is different in both these cases because the rate of interest is different in both the cases. So this means that 8% minus 5% is equal to rupees 2320 minus rupees 2200. That is 3% is equal to rupees 120. Now we know that in the first case, the rate of interest is 5%. So if 3% is equal to rupees 120, then 5% is equal to 120 multiplied by 5 divided by 3, which is nothing but 200. So the simple interest for the first case is rupees 200. Now it's given that the amount in the first case is rupees 2200. Now since principal is equal to amount minus simple interest, it means principal is equal to rupees 2200 minus rupees 200, which is rupees 2000. So the principal is rupees 2000 in both the cases. Now we know that principal is rupees 2000, in simple interest is rupees 200 and a rate of interest is 5% per annum in the first case. So substituting all these values in the formula here, we get T is equal to 100 multiplied by 200 divided by 2000 multiplied by 5. On solving this, we get T is equal to 2, which means time is equal to 2 years. So the correct answer is option C, 2 years. Simple interest on rupees 500 for 4 years at 6.25% per annum is equal to the simple interest on rupees 400 at 5% per annum for a certain period of time. What is the period of time? Here you are given four options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now here in this question, the equality in the simple interest is given. Now it's given that in the first case, the time is 4 years. But In the second case, we do not know what is the period of time, and we are asked to find this period of time. So let's assume that this period of time is T years. So simple interest on rupees 500 for 4 years at 6.25% per annum is equal to the simple interest on rupees 500 at 5% per annum for T years. Now we know that simple interest is equal to PRT divided by 100. So according to the question, 500 multiplied by 6.25 multiplied by 4 divided by 100, which is the simple interest for 4 years, is equal to 400 multiplied by 5 multiplied by T divided by 100, which is the simple interest for T years. On solving this equation, we get T is equal to 6.25 years, which is nothing but 6 1 by 4 years. The correct answer is option D, 6 1 by 4 years. A borrows rupees 800 at the rate of 12% per annum simple interest, and B borrows rupees 910 at the rate of 10% per annum simple interest. In how many years will their amounts of debt be equal? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you are asked to find out in how many years will A's amount of debt be equal to B's amount of debt. So let's assume that the period of time is T years. Now we know that amount is equal to principal plus simple interest. Now it's given that A's principal is rupees 800 and B's principal is rupees 910. But we do not know what is A's simple interest or what is B's simple interest. Now this simple interest can be found out using the formula SI is equal to PRT divided by 100. Now it's given in the question that the rate of interest for A is 12% per annum and B's rate of interest is 10% per annum. So according to the question, 800, which is A's principal, plus 800 multiplied by 12 multiplied by T divided by 100, which is the simple interest for A, and this together is A's amount, is equal to 910, which is B's principal, plus 910 multiplied by 10 multiplied by T divided by 100, which is B's simple interest, and this together is B's amount. So according to the question, A's amount of debt is equal to B's amount of debt in T years. We have to find the value of T. On solving this equation, we can get the value of T. So on solving this equation, we get T is equal to 22 years. That is, A's amount of debt will be equal to B's amount of debt in 22 years. So the correct answer is option D, 22 years. Rupees 1000 is invested at 5% per annum simple interest. If the interest is added to the principal after every 10 years, after how many years will the amount become rupees 2000? You are given 4 options here and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you are asked to find after how many years will the amount become rupees 2000. That is, we have to find out after how many years will rupees 1000 become rupees 2000. Now it's given that interest is added to the principal after every 10 years. So first let's find out the simple interest for 10 years. Using the formula SI is equal to PRT divided by 100. Now it's given that P is rupees 1000, R is 5% per annum, and we have to find the simple interest for 10 years. So for 10 years, simple interest is equal to 1000 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 10 divided by 100, which is nothing but rupees 500. So the simple interest for 10 years is rupees 500. Now this simple interest for 10 years has to be added to the principal to get the principal for the 11th year. So principal for the 11th year is equal to 1000 plus 500, which is rupees 1500. Now here we are asked to find after how many years will the amount become rupees 2000. So it's given that amount is rupees 2000. Now principal is rupees 1500, amount is rupees 2000. So simple interest is rupees 2000 minus rupees 1500, which is rupees 500. Now we know that simple interest is rupees 500, principal is rupees 1500, and rate of interest is 5% per annum. So using these values, let's find out the time taken by the principal of rupees 1500 to become an amount of rupees 2000 using the formula T is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PR. So now we have T is equal to 100 multiplied by 500 divided by 1500 multiplied by 5. On solving this, we get T is equal to 20 by 3, which is nothing but 6 2 by 3 years. So rupees 1500 takes 6 2 by 3 years to become rupees 2000. But we are asked to find out after how many years will rupees 1000 become rupees 2000. So the total time taken the total time taken for rupees 1000 to become rupees 2000 is the first 10 years plus the next 6 2 by 3 years, which is nothing but 16 2 by 3 years. So rupees 1000 becomes rupees 2000 in 16 2 by 3 years. So the correct answer is option C, 16 2 by 3 years. Viewers, please go through this video till you have understood the concept. Practice more such problems to increase your speed and also to understand the concept clearly. Please do watch our video on simple interest with ratios, solved problems. If you have liked this video, please like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you.